work in a nursing home and didn't believe in ghosts till I was offered a night shift position. One of the girls said that the home was pretty bad with spirits, but I thought because of my age, 19, she was just trying to scare me. I was walking alone after answering a buzzer past the dining room when someone touched my shoulder. I turned around and no one was there. I was convinced it was the other two girls, but they were in the lounge and couldn't have got there without me seeing them. Later, we were sitting talking when the door, which is a fire door and doesn't move, was slamming and opening for about a minute and abruptly stopped. We all got out of our seats, don't know why, and then a black figure appeared at the door and just stared at us for about a minute and walked off. The eldest girl went after it, so we followed, and no one was there. We sat down to calm ourselves because we were pretty freaked out by that, when the emergency buzzers started going off simultaneously from one room to 30, but there are patients who can't reach them, and others on medication, so we went and turned them off and checked our residents. We went to one lady who was dying of cancer, and I turned off the buzzer when my coworker said she was gone. We can only think this was her having a laugh, because she was a great lady, or she was trying to let us know she was gone. That also wasn't the first time someone passed away before we were aware of it. I had a coworker once who could have sworn she was talking to an old woman at the clinic that had been at the nursing home for nearly a decade. This coworker had gone on vacation, and this was her first day back. There was a figure laying in bed, in a room alone. She was facing away from my coworker, and she had the door cracked open for a second to see if the woman wanted anything to eat. There was no response, so she figured the lady was just cranky and didn't want to be bothered. A few hours later, she went back to the room, and nobody was there. My coworker asked another why the patient was missing. The other coworker looked puzzled. Did nobody tell you that Miss Noble passed away in her sleep while you were on vacation? My other coworker said, well, then why was there somebody in the room a few hours ago? She found out that nobody moved into the new room since Miss Noble passed away. They tried moving a patient in there for a couple of days, but we would hear him scream bloody murder for no explicable reason. But again, they took him out right away, and way before my coworker returned to work. My coworker insisted that she saw a figure in that room, and that she wasn't tired or feeling unwell. This might end up kind of being long, since I'm going to try to cover a lot of what I experienced in my life. I will start with the first thing that I remember. I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was sitting in my bedroom getting some coloring books. It was summer, and the window was open. I heard this noise, and at first, I couldn't tell where it was coming from. I looked towards the window, and the sound faded. It sounded sort of like a lawnmower. Well, I went back to what I was doing, and the noise just got louder. I realized the noise wasn't coming from my window, but from the other side of my room, where the closet was. I looked over and saw this black orb hovering over the molding of the closet. It was moving in this swaying motion, and the noise I was hearing came from the black orb. I screamed and curled up into a ball. I continued to scream until my mom reached my bedroom. She looked terrified and kept asking me what was wrong. Well, my little brain could only assume it was a black bee, which she didn't find amusing. She said she thought someone was trying to kill me because of how I was screaming. From that point on, I read everything I could get my hands on about ghosts. Nothing happened for many years after the first incident. My father was in the military, and we moved from Atlanta to Minot, North Dakota, my sophomore year of high school. I'm not going to get into everything that happened down there, since it was a daily occurrence down there, no matter where in town I was. In brief, let's just say the blacker than black negative things. Everywhere. Luckily, the people that I normally hang out with saw them too, so I didn't feel like I was going crazy. They ranged in height from being 1 foot to over 7 feet. There was one we nicknamed Split Toes. Keep in mind, there were more than one of them. I lived in Minot for just under 1 year, and I'll never step foot there again. On top of the shadows, there were many other things that happened, ranging from smells to noises to the absolute feel of being chased, the fear. My sister even saw them, though it traumatized her so badly she shut down and now says she didn't. Now I know this sounds crazy, but I know there are other people out there that have experienced these things. I know that what happened down there was not an overactive imagination. We all from time to time will wake up with cuts we couldn't explain, or have them appear out of nowhere, sometimes singular, sometimes looking like a tiny clawed hand had hit us, and rarely bite marks. We were told by a friend's mother to wear sage and little leather bags for protection. I still wear one, even though I'm back in Alaska. After Minot, things slowed down a lot. I had a few more experiences with the shadows. After a while, I had enough, though. I yelled at them and told them if they agreed to leave me alone, I would pretend they didn't exist, and it has been pretty much quiet ever since. The last time I had an experience like that was out in Cooper Landing, Alaska, just a few years ago. I left Minot almost 8 years ago. My friend invited me and a few other people to her parents' cabin for the night. We drove out there from Anchorage at around 8 p.m. in the winter. I don't know if you're familiar with Alaska seasons and such, but in the winter, it's hardly ever light out. Maybe a couple hours a day during the time period we went out there. So anyways, we drive out to Cooper Landing in the dark on really icy roads. We finally get out there, and at first sight, this place made me nervous. I was determined to have a good time, so I forgot my initial feeling on the cabin. The night went well. The cabin was set up in a very open layout. There was a wall that went halfway across in the middle of the cabin, with the living room on one side and 3 sets of bunk beds on the other. Come to find out, it used to be her grandmother's cabin before she died. Well, we all decided to go to sleep. My friend and her boyfriend pulled out the futon in the living room and went to sleep. Me and my boyfriend were lying on the bunk bed, where we could look into the side of the cabin where the living room was. We were just talking, and then all of a sudden, we started to hear this noise. It started by the living room, but outside, and worked its way around the cabin. But the noise would continue to come from everywhere it had already been. It was sort of like wailing. It reminded me of what a banshee might sound like. I was really freaking out and asking my boyfriend what the hell that was. He said it was a ghost crying. I looked out to where the living room was, and this thing started to appear, starting at the top and kind of whirlwinding down. My boyfriend saw it and leapt to the bunk bed directly across and was freaking out. I started demanding he go and turn the light on. It wouldn't stop until he did. Finally he did, and the thing disappeared. My friend woke up and told us things like that always happen out there, and we just needed to get used to it. I was really upset she didn't tell me. Neither me or my boyfriend could sleep till it got light outside. Nothing else happened that night, but I have no desire to try my luck again. Since then, I haven't had any encounters with anything that appeared as a shadow. I've seen ghosts that appear like people look, in color, and they don't scare me at all. I'm not sure what the black things are, and I'm not sure I want to know. I do know that as long as I don't think about them, I don't have any problems with them. Oh, I almost forgot. Aklunta is a really creepy place up there. Not the cemetery, but the village, or what's left of it. I only got to spend about 15 minutes out there, but that was more than enough to feel it out. Very bad vibes out there. And as we were leaving, I saw something back in the trees. As soon as I looked at it, it darted behind a tree. It was dark out, so I didn't know what it was, but it didn't look like a person. And when we were driving back to Anchorage, on the outbound side of the highway there was an accident, and this huge bull moose was on the side of the road dead. But none of the vehicles looked like they had hit it. A moose hitting your car would crumple it like a soda can. Well, that's all I have for this morning. Maybe sometime I'll go more in depth about my experience in Mano, but not yet. I don't like talking about it when it's dark outside. It all started when I was about 5. There was a thunderstorm, and I hate storms, so I went to my parents' room across the hall. After the storm was over, I decided to go back to my room. When I got to the doorway, I saw 2 figures sitting in 2 of my chairs. I had a little table and tea set in the middle of my room, and they were just sitting there. One of them was facing me, and it looked like a pitch black shadow. The other had its back to me. I wasn't sure if it was real, so I blinked my eyes very tight multiple times. The one whose back was facing me slowly turned around to look at me. It was white, kind of fuzzy looking, like the way your TV looks when it gets all snowy in the TV set, and had 2 black holes where the eyes should be, and an outline of the nose and mouth. I think the best way to call it is a static man. I got scared and ran and told my father what I saw. He told me that our grandfather tends to watch over us. He passed away years ago. He even said he saw this dark shadow hovering over his bed one night, although it was pretty dark, so we could barely make out anything. I later found out that an old couple originally lived in the house before my parents bought it in the 70s. The original house is small, 2 bedrooms, and a kitchen, a small living room. It was only 1 story, and when my parents moved in, they said the old man died. They heard voices a few times, but didn't think anything of it. Then, when me and my brothers were born, they built a basement and 2nd story where the bedrooms are. My bedroom and my parents' bedroom are right above the original part of the house. My room used to be the attic until we built the upstairs. I think the ghosts were my grandfather and the old man, but I keep seeing the same ghosts when I go places. I'm never scared though. Also, we've had things fly across the room. Things shatter out of nowhere, hear noises, and I've had experiences where I felt a presence in the room, and then I saw a crease in the couch right next to where I was sitting. I'm not scared though, because I just have a feeling they don't intend on hurting me. It actually makes me feel safer at times. Hi, I've enjoyed your website and wish to share one of my experiences. This is all true, and if you have any comments about ghosts or questions, please feel free to email me, as I'd like to know what it might have been. When I was 12 or so, I had a strange experience. I was playing with my friend in the woods near the Quibbin Aqueduct. This is in Wayland, Massachusetts. We had to take our neighbor's police dog on our adventure, looking for the Indian artifacts. On a hill that was gravelly, I found what I believed to be an arrowhead. After showing it to my friend, I stuffed it into my pants pocket and moved to a new spot with the dog. He began to wind towards some bushes about 20 feet away. I looked in the direction the dog was looking and saw nothing. Figuring it was a rabbit or squirrel, I let the dog off his leash. He began barking and ran into the bushes. My friend joined me, and we called the dog back. He came right away, being well trained. He sat looking from us to the woods and panting. We put his leash back on, and both my friend and I had the feeling of being watched. I reached into my pants to see the arrowhead, but it was gone. I checked the other pockets. Nothing. Then we decided to go home. Both of us creeped out. On our way back, the dog stopped at a tree and looked up, and at least 30 feet up, we saw a piece of bloody fur stuck to the tree. We ran back to the neighbors and returned the dog, not wanting to get laughed at. We didn't tell him about the fur. My friend got her bike and went halfway to me to my house. When I got in the door, the phone rang. It was my friend. She asked if I was okay. I was fine. I told her. Then she'd explained she'd seen someone lurking in the bushes of the only empty house in my neighborhood, and they seemed to be following me. I dismissed it and ate dinner. That night, a storm came. The thunder and lightning woke me up. During a flash of light, I saw a tall, thin figure at the foot of my bed. I think it was a man. He wore all black, a long, odd jacket, and had very long arms. They reached his knees. On his head was a stovepipe hat that was too high and had a wide brim, so his face was shadowed. As I looked at him, too terrified to scream, he raised his arms and pointed at me with the long finger. Another flash of light, and he was gone. In the morning at school before homeroom, I asked my friend to describe the person she had seen the day before in the bushes. She said he was thin and had a weird hat like Lincoln wore. Of course, I was freaked out. I don't know how much later, maybe a month or more, I was doing homework on my bed and heard scuffling in my closet, thinking it was the cat. I opened the door to scoot him out. The cat was not there, but the clothes were swaying side by side. I closed the door and left my room. The next and last time I saw the ghost was at summer camp. I had been put into a room alone, having had a panic attack over an incident in which I had a dream come true. I dreamt a kid got run over by a van, and a storm came and a cabin was hit by lightning, and kids burnt up. That day, we were teamed up and competing for ribbons. One event was the van pull. A team of kids were pulling a van. A kid fell under, and the van went over him. He was unhurt, but the license plate made a dirty mark on his back. I got scared, and then it began raining very hard. Everyone headed to their cabins. It began to lightning, and I lost my mind. I'd confided my dream to my friend that morning, and as she tried to tell the counselor, I was crying and trying to warn the people about the fire I believed to be about to happen. The counselor locked me in her room, alone. A blast of thunder and lightning hit and blew the outside door open. Rain poured in, and in the storm stood my ghost looking in at me. I screamed and slammed the door shut. Luckily, fire never happened. I never saw the ghost again. I often wonder about it, and as scary as it was, it never hurt me. Please note, I know the story sounds far-fetched, but it isn't. This really happened. Hi, Sam here. I've apparently spoke to a ghost when I was 2 years old. To cut a long story short, I moved to Invicta Road in Charnes, Kent when I was 2 years old, with my dad. A year or so before we moved in, a lonely pregnant woman lived there and offed herself by hanging. Because of the pregnancy in the back room, no one lived there till my dad and I. I slept in the back bedroom. My dad told me that he would often hear me talking to someone at nights in my room. My dad asked me who I was talking to. I said it was the gray lady who sits at the end of my bed. My dad then met my stepmom, and she moved in with us. At nights, sometimes my stepmom and I would sit alone, and she'd hear walking around upstairs and things being moved about. It was so bad, one night, that she went over to her parents' house to get them. They brought their dog over. The dog started growling and barking for no reason. My dad moved me out of the back bedroom to another bedroom when I started to get upset and not sleepiness. Dreams and anxiety are my main feelings I get. I can't walk through a graveyard without getting anxiety, and I also smell a really musty smell that no one else seems to notice. It's so intoxicating that it makes me feel like I'm suffocating, and it makes me feel sick. Sometimes it makes me wonder whether I still have this woman following me. A catchy song here, you have nothing to fear. A catchy song here, you have nothing to fear. A catchy song here, you have nothing to fear. A catchy song here, a catchy oh, sorry guys. Apparently I was making a song and I didn't realize that you were barged in on me. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning into this extravaganza of a video. Please remember to like the video, comment, and tell me as usual which stories you like the most. I know I've gotten really redundant and I say this all the time in my outros, but I really would appreciate a share, even if you don't think the sharing would do anything for you personally. I think just one person that gets eyeballs to this channel, especially since I'm about 30 subscribers away from actually reaching my goal of 24K, would mean a lot. And I'm about to cough, so that's why I'm kind of struggling to talk right now. And no, it's not what you think. It's just me having a regular cough, seasonal coughs. I usually have it during this time of year. So guys, nothing to worry about. Social distancing is important this time of year, especially when you don't have anything going on that's going to threaten the world. So I don't know what I just meant by that, but you guys know what I mean. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go, but remember, let me know what you thought in the stories below. I mean, let me know what, yeah, I'm just going to go. Just comment below and tell me what stories you liked. That's what I should have said. I know I said that like 3 times anyway, so I don't even know what the point of the talking now is. Words will always be difficult, and my name is John. Not really. It's not John. I wish it was. Maybe the world would be better if it was. Anyway, love you guys, and see you in the next video.